last time on Oz Hour?
Okay, last time on Oz Hour, they are all at Jack Pumpkinhead's house, and he's telling the gang, which the gang is Toto, Scraps, Scarecrow, who else? Ojo, and Dorothy. And they are all going to the mountains because Jack is like, yeah, I think that's where a dark well would be. And so they're like, okay, let's go. And so they go. And they run into the Totten something. And they're these little guys that are running around, and they're getting into lots of trouble because they're throwing Scraps and Scarecrow all over the place, and everyone's mad about it. And they're like, if you keep doing that, we won't let you sleep here or something. I can't really remember. And then they all sleep. And then the next day they tell them that, oh yeah, go to the mountains to the dark well. And so they keep going to the mountains like they didn't already know that's what they were doing. And then they run into, oh my God, who is he? What's his name? He's big, he's scary. Oh, Captive Ocho? Captain Ooch. I can't remember. They run into him, and he also throws Scraps. I don't know. Scraps and Scarecrow keep getting thrown around, and they do that. And let's just stop. I'm done. I'm just looking at the time. I'm like, it just is going over, and why am I even talking about all of this?
Hi there, and welcome to episode 41 of Oz Hour, the only place where you can hear everything you never knew about the wonderful and strange land of Oz.
That's right. With the help of some alcohol, we will be discussing each of the 14 books in L. Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz series.
Today, we will be continuing with Book 7, The Patchwork Girl of Oz, covering chapters 21 through 24.
We're your hosts, Blake Stone
And Wyatt Swanger.
and joining us as always is our resident Oz initiate, Hannah Aguirre.
That's that on that, period.
And there's really nothing left to say. Hannah, you just played last time on, where you recapped what happened last time in The Patchwork Girl of Oz. What was the time on that again?
1 minute and 25 seconds.
1 minute, 25 seconds. Not too terribly bad, but I do have some notes.
There's only 2 chapters.
It was only 2 chapters.
I started at the end thinking that it was like casual conversation again. And I wasn't being timed.
No, you were in
like, let's just go.
competition. Yeah.
Oh, you want to know what I remember? Well, let me tell you. First, okay, so they're called the Tottenhots, like Hot Toddy. They'll never come back, so you don't really need to know. As far as I know, yeah. They like to play, and they only like to do it at night. It's not weird. The Tottenhots say, don't go to the mountains. It's scary there. We've never been. We don't know what's up there. Maybe not a dark well. They go up the mountain anyway, and they run into the captive Yoop. Did you just keep calling him Ojo?
You're doing an Ogo thing.
I was saying Ocho. Yeah, I don't know.
Bueno, Ocho.
I don't know what was going on.
And it's funny that you said that Scraps and the Scarecrow keep getting thrown around, because we have a lot of fun throwing in our episode today.
Yeah, they're getting thrown.
Oh my gosh.
That's all I have. Before we started recording, Wyatt went ahead and whipped up some cocktails. What do we have here in this dark, dark glass?
Yeah, so tonight we are drinking Dark Waters, the recipe for which you can find on our Instagram at Oz Hour Podcast. It's basically a Cuba Libre, so rum and Coke with lime.
Cool.
Okay.
The darkest rum you could find, though. Let's sip.
Oh, yeah.
Why is it spicy?
Actually, it's not that bad.
Chapter 21, Hip Hopper the Champion.
So we've just escaped the captive Yoop, right? And we continue moving through
So
the...
you said a hip hopper?
Yeah, L. Frank Baum invented hip-hop.
Yeah, Hip Hopper the Champion.
Wow.
I know. Just wait till you hear the hip hop.
It's going to be the phonogram.
Yeah.
I have this new record.
Oh my God. I forgot about the phonograph.
Yeah. Yeah. God damn it.
He's phonogrammed to me. Sorry.
He's a phonograph with 2 phonograms in him. In his name. Sorry, not in him.
And, well, yeah. Yes, and.
So they continue moving through the mountain, which of course requires a lot of climbing. Toto's kind of able to hop from rock to rock pretty easily, but everyone else is like has a pretty tedious climb.
Yeah, it's pretty exhausting. Like they're like not rock climbing. Frankly, I can't believe Toto is like doing better than the others, but the kids is
You saw him run down the witch's mountain.
Oh,
That's true. That's true. He has the footwork. But they're exhausted. And Dorothy is just like looking up at these like crag mountain above her, and she's just like, damn the dark well. Like,
That's if it's even up there.
yeah,
If
well,
it's even
exactly.
up there.
Yeah, because Ojo's like, hey, like I'll go ahead, like I can see, because like I'm the reason we're here, and it might not even be up there.
She wishes she didn't
And
go.
Dorothy
know.
is literally like, Ojo, shut up. Like, you're not going to go up there by yourself. If you fall and die, we're all just sitting here waiting for you. Like,
Yeah.
We're all going together. Win together, lose together, team.
There we go.
Wildcats.
Yeah, anything.
What team?
Anything bad could happen. So she's like, no, we're not doing that. But it's really difficult for a while yet. So they keep on going, but then eventually it does smooth out, and they find this like kind of little path between the crags, like similar to what they had before the Yoop, basically.
Yeah, it's not a very direct route up the path or up the mountain, but it goes up.
And
So
it's smooth because it's not like climbing over rocks anymore. It's
they're
steep.
using their entire bodies to get up. They're going to switch to just walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they love that.
But as they're walking along, the Scarecrow's like, oh, this must be the road to the country of the Hoppers. And Dorothy says, I'm sorry?
Yeah. I don't know why he just said that like we all knew.
Yeah. But the Scarecrow says there are some people Jack Pumpkinhead told them about. And she's like, Jack didn't mention hoppers. And he was like, oh, you meat people had to sleep. And we talked all night. And I was like, okay, but I was there when they talked all night.
Well,
And
that's
they did not mention
it.
hoppers.
Just said that they talked all night, though. We didn't hear that all night. But I had the same thought.
details.
Because I'm like, okay, like Elfringbaum could have added that back earlier, but I get it though. Like, I get it.
He didn't want to foreshadow in that moment.
Yeah, it's too much. It's nice to have a reveal. But we are told that, well, Jack Pumpkinhead told them that there are two nations living in the mountain, or on the mountain. There's hoppers and horners that live on the mountain. And Scrap says, he said in the mountain, but he must have meant on. So we're making some assumptions now about Jack Pumpkinhead's, like, intentions.
Yeah, I'm like, why did Scrap say that? I'm like, that seems so important.
Yeah.
But
Well, it'll turn out.
he says that the Scarecrow says that the Horners are more important than the Hoppers. And Dorothy's like, Ozma has never mentioned either of those people to me, so I don't think either of them are that important.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But then, so this is kind of interesting because then Scraps is like, well, like, is this mountain even in Oz? Like, and then Dorothy, we are all reminded that Oz is sealed off from the outside world. So they can't leave Oz and nothing can come into Oz. So she was like, so yeah, we're in Oz
We're in
because we
Quadling country,
cannot
baby.
leave Oz. We're in the Quadling country.
I'm
like,
glad you explained that because I literally have 3 red question marks in my notes. Because like, why is she saying like,
Yeah.
Oz is closed off? And it's like, well, you clarify?
Yeah, it's because she can't, like, you can't leave Oz. So they're in Oz. We're clarified of that. But then she also reemphasizes that Oz is just so big, there's things that people don't know about. And I'm like, yeah, I guess, but who put up the captive Yoop signs? Like, no one, like,
Right.
when you're doing that, you call Ozma. That's the tea, honey. That's the tea.
Yeah, I would suspect that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Dorothy is like, it's a fairy country dog. Like, Ozma
Anything
can't
can
know
happen.
anything. Yeah. But Dorothy says that her and the Scarecrow are like super well traveled, and they haven't even seen everything in Oz. And by this point in the conversation, they realize they've climbed a considerable way up the path and are super high up on the mountain.
Yeah.
I don't know how they know they're so high because it also says that the rocks are so tall they can't see anything around them.
Yeah, they must just have the impression,
More
I guess.
assumptions.
Yeah, they're
exactly.
yeah they've been going in a slight downhill grade this whole time and they don't know it. But they do like they're like kind of getting a point where it's like there's corners, like they're coming around, blah blah blah, and then they come to a dead end. And they're like, well, fuck. There's like this big rock kind of like blocking the way, but it's also just the mountain. Like they reach the mountain and it's just a big slab of rock.
And Scarecrow's like, why is there a path if it just dead ends? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And Scraps think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
As always.
Scraps. Yeah, okay. I forgot about this. The Scarecrow is like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, there wouldn't be a path if it didn't go somewhere. And Scraps is like, well, we are somewhere. The path is locked, the way is blocked, and here we've innocently flocked, and now we're here, it's rather queer. There's no front door that can be knocked. I would beat her.
Yeah.
I would push her over.
Ojo says, please don't. You're making me nervous.
That is so honestly.
It is. Also, though, in this moment, I am reminded that Ojo is even here. Like,
Seriously.
I know I said it last episode. I don't want to dwell on it, but he is just getting so lost in
He's
the
no
mix
longer
now.
the main character.
No,
Yeah,
Actually,
Dorothy took over.
I actually have later in my notes where I'm just like, oh,
Yeah, Ojo. Well, and he was standing there.
the main character of this book. What the
Yeah.
heck? But yeah, Dorothy is like, I get that this rock is here. We're all upset about that, but at least we get to take a break.
Yeah.
And she turns around, crosses her arms, leans up against the wall. And it's like in Scooby-Doo when they're like, whoop,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it opens up. Basically, it's a door. It like she leans on it. It swings in, and it's this big dark tunnel that gets revealed.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Scarecrow's like, okay, so that's the path.
So it
but
is
like,
in the mountain.
in the mountain.
Yeah.
But-
Yes, in the mountains.
Scarecrow's like, that's the path, but like, do we want to go in there?
Yeah.
Because that's fucking spooky, yo.
Yeah,
And-
I'd say no.
See, I'm like, but you're
But
looking for a
also-
dark well.
Yeah.
And that's what
I was about
Ojo
to
says.
say.
He's like, if there's a well in there, I bet you it's fucking dark.
Yeah.
So we're going. The Scarecrow goes in first. They all follow him. And once they're all inside, the rock slides shut behind.
Yep. Also Scooby Doo, but it's not dark in there. There is a rosy light emanating from nowhere in particular that's just lighting the space. So it's just like the Gnome King's palace when they go in and they're like, "It's awful nice in here. Where's the lights?" It's just like
that's
a
right.
nice little light emanating. I don't think it's gonna be a tie-in
Just what
though.
the mountains
Just
do.
notes. I know that's what I'm
Honestly,
thinking. I'm like, there's no explanation. Do
A
we just know that now?
A lot of what's coming does give Gnome King, though. I wonder if he forgot
Okay.
that the Gnome King's been in 3 books.
No, there's some other things I have to talk about too. But yeah.
But so this space, it's only wide enough for them to walk 2 by 2.
Yeah.
So it's like really narrow, but there's these
Which I
high
hate.
arched ceilings. It is spooky, but as they're going, like there are turns and curves and like sharp turns too, but there are no outways. Like
There's no side
so
passages.
nothing's gonna pop out at them,
Yeah.
It's not a haunted house. Like,
It's just
walls.
rocks. But if
So that
something
would
starts
make
running
me feel
around the
better.
corner at you, yeah.
Okay, well, don't
Sorry.
say that.
So they're walking, they take a turn, they take another turn, they're going along, and all of a sudden, like Toto, all the animals in this book love to run ahead and then run back.
Got a lot of energy.
So Toto runs ahead and he goes around a corner, and all of a sudden they hear barking and yowling and yipping and raving, and Toto's going insane. So they all take off running. They all
run.
run up around
Yeah.
the corner.
Oh, I thought they were running away.
No,
Oh no,
bye,
they ran to him.
They run, they turn the corner, and they see Toto standing in front of a man. And the man is sitting on the ground with his back against the wall, and he's rubbing his eyes as if Toto just woke him up with his barking.
Yeah.
And the man stands up, and they realize he only has one leg, but it's not like he lost a leg. It's like
It's in the middle of his body.
It's in the
Actually,
middle
just
of
has
his-
one leg.
Yeah.
it's in the middle of his
It's-
body.
yeah.
It's sturdy. It's got like a flat foot, like he's on a
Yeah,
pedestal.
Yeah, she's thick.
Like he's
Yeah.
designed to be one-legged.
And Toto hates
I'm
this.
scared.
He's running. He's biting at him. The thing is hopping back and forth, like
Trying to
one
get
way or
away.
the other. He's clearly
hip hopper?
freaked out. Yeah, the hip hopper.
It says that Toto is usually well behaved, but he found this man offensive.
He said, not today, Toto.
Toto has eaten like bred people before.
Yeah, Toto's a
in
bad
cold
boy.
blood.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
Well, Toto's a dog, I guess.
Yeah.
but
He's
still.
also a murderer.
Like they really love to be like, oh, and Toto and Dorothy looked at each other with a knowing look because even though he doesn't speak English, he gets it. But it's like, no, he doesn't. 'Cause he's not going to
Actually-
eat those children.
yeah.
All he says is bow wow and woof. And we don't
Okay,
even know
well,
what
if
those
he
mean.
says bow wow, that's freaky because dogs don't say that.
that changes.
I mean, that's
that
true.
changes things for
That's
me.
true.
But the guy is jumping away from Toto. Finally, he loses his balance. It's like narrow, you know? He falls down and he just starts kicking out. He kicks Toto in the nose. Toto's yelping.
Yeah.
But it pisses him off even more.
So Dorothy comes in and she grabs Toto on his collar, which I never realized, but Toto must be wearing a collar all the time.
I know. I was like, is he wearing a collar or did she like grab his mommy skin?
I know, yeah. One or the other. She holds him and she starts holding him back. And insanely, Dorothy is like, do you surrender? to this man that they just found and assaulted.
The guy's like, me?
Yeah, her dog
I
attacks
would
this
actually
man.
be so confused.
He is so confused. And
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, you. And he's like, am I captured? And
Yeah, and she's like, Toto captured
my dog
you.
just
Yeah,
captured you.
that's obvious. And he's like, well,
so
I
here's
guess
my
I
dog.
should.
I can let him go again if you'd like.
Yeah. And he surrenders. He's like, okay, like,
What?
if you've captured me, I guess I should
he's
just
like,
surrender.
I guess I'm being
That's
kidnapped
the
right
proper
now.
thing to do.
Yeah, don't hurt me. I'm not gonna fight back.
Yeah. But we do learn that this is Hip Hopper the champion.
Dorothy's like, champion what?
Wrestler. It does
Can I tell you something right now? Just before, not to bury the lead, you will never see this man wrestle. He's like, I'm a champion wrestler. That dog is the first thing to ever take me down.
What?
Yeah, he literally says it's the only living
Did he
thing
even
that's ever
take you
defeated
down,
him.
Really?
You fell.
He scared him. He scared him while he was
Yeah.
sleeping. That's all
But
Toto did.
Dorothy's like, okay, so you're a hopper? And he's like, yep, I am the hopperiest hopper. And all of the hoppers live in our big city, not very far away from here.
Yeah. And of course, the first thing they ask is, are there any dark wells there? And he says no.
Yeah. He's like, I don't think so. We have a lot of wells, but they're pretty well lit. But he's like, there might be dark wells in the Horner country, which is a black spot on the face of the earth.
What?
So,
Whoa.
yeah, he's just ripping them.
Whoa.
My whole everything just like of reality has been shifted.
So Ojo asks where the Horner country is, and Hopper, or Champion, what are we calling him?
I call him Hip Hopper.
Hip Hopper.
That's his name.
Tells him that it's on the other side of the mountain, and there's a fence with a gate between the Hopper and the Horner countries.
Yeah. So it's like right there. Like he's like, my city's nearby, like, and then the Horner country is also like right there.
Do the Hoppers and Horners don't like each other?
Well, it's funny you say that. Because the gate is currently locked because the two nations are at war with one
Whoa.
another.
There is a war, and Ozma doesn't even know these people
That's
exist.
yes. I'm glad you said that.
That is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like, how long has this war been going on?
That seems like a few days.
not that long for sure.
Okay.
Which we'll get into, but still, like, all of this is something Ozma should know. Like,
Totally.
if she can dial on her fucking magic picture to zoom in on new people breaking laws in the Emerald City, can't she say any wars going on?
Yeah,
Wouldn't
the
it be
fact
good for
that
her?
she was
Any
able
wars I should know
to.
about?
Like, there could be genocides happening anywhere in the country, and she would have no idea.
That's not very Oz behavior.
I'm
No.
just worried about the priorities of Oz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're arresting a man that I get it.
That picked
You don't
a
want people
Chloe.
doing magic, blah, 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 all that type of stuff. I get it. But you're arresting this man and there's a full blown war going
There
on and
is
you know
a
nothing about
war.
it.
Yeah.
And that's the only person that. Okay, I'm not even going to get into
Ojo,
it.
I'm glad Ojo was pardoned, but it doesn't change what happened.
Yeah.
But the Scarecrow's like, well, that's too bad there's a war. Like, what's going on? What's the trouble? Apparently, the war began because one of the Horners said that the Hoppers were lacking in understanding because they only had one leg each.
So they got insulted,
War.
basically. And the Hoppers were like, you know what? We're done. We're not taking that anymore. We're the Hoppers, and now we're at war.
You know,
And then there's a disagreement about the right number of legs because the Hopper's like, one leg is all you need. And everybody's like, we all have 2 legs. 2 legs are good. And there's a little argument about
Dorothy's
it.
like, no, 2 legs is fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Be careful.
Yeah, I
Then
know.
you'll have a war.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But yeah, it turns into like, well, you have to hop everywhere. Well, yeah, but that's graceful. Walking's not. It's like this whole thing. But okay, we see where the Hopper's coming from. The Scarecrow basically is just like, okay, we don't agree. Anyway, is there a way we could get to the Horner country without going through the Hopper country?
And there is a path, but they would have to go all the way back down the mountain, around it, and then up the other side to get to it.
So he's like,
So
come with me to the Hopper country. You'll be there in a split.
yeah, because he says that they're planning on conquering the Horners today, like this afternoon. So they're not like, he's like, yeah, like you'll probably be able to just go over there in a few minutes. So just come with me. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and they agreed.
Hip Hopper leads the way, and he's actually hopping so quickly that they have to run to keep up
It's
with him.
insane. It's like he's showing off.
He said, "Oh, you have something about one leg."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes that sound. But that is the boing of chapter 21, Hip Hopper the Champion. And Blake, what would you hop that?
Hop till you drop.
Nice. Chapter 22, The Joking Horners. Yeah.
That's hard to say. Say that 5 times fast.
Joking Horners, Joking Horners, Joking Horners.
Can't.
She couldn't even say it once. I don't think you said it the first time. Whoa.
So after a bit of walking, the narrow passage that they're in, it opens up into this large cave with ceilings so high they might reach all the way to the top of the mountain.
Yeah, it's all white marble. It's domed. It's beautiful. There's a little village with like 50 houses. Like, beautiful. It's all marble. There's no yards. It's really giving Country of the Mangaboos to me.
Yes,
Like,
I'm seeing Mangaboos
Yeah.
and a little bit of Porcelain Town.
and in this beautiful little village, there are people hanging around. And all the people have one leg. The women, the men, the children of all ages, they all have one big leg under them. And
They're moving around fine.
they're just chilling, basically. Yeah, they're walking, they're well, they're not walking, they're hopping. But a group of these hoppers comes over, and they're like, "Oh, hey, Hip Hopper the Champion! Like, you captured some people. Who are these people you captured?"
He's like, I'm sorry, fellas. They captured me.
Yeah,
How humiliating.
yeah.
One of the other hoppers is like, well, there's way more of us than them. We can rescue you and we can capture them.
What's
And
going on?
I know,
But-
but Hip Hopper is very proper and kind, and he's like, "No, I surrendered. It would not be nice to then lure them back here and have you recapture them.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm captured.
Why
I'm their
does
captive."
anyone need to be
That's,
captured?
that's
I
the
know.
thing. Dorothy told him he was captured because that's the way he was directing the conversation. So in this moment, Dorothy's like, I give you your liberty. You're free. Like,
Yeah, she frees him.
Nobody's captured.
Yeah.
Nobody's capturing. Nobody's captured. okay?
Everyone's safe, happy.
We're
and
hanging
good.
out. We're
yeah.
all. We good?
We're chill. We're chill.
But Dorothy
Um,
does add that she is letting him free because they may need his help to conquer the Horners. So Dorothy is already on her colonizer, conquistador
Dorothy
mindset.
doesn't know a goddamn thing about the Horners. All she knows is about a bad joke somebody made.
Also,
Yeah.
Like, that's
there's
all
a
she knows.
war going on. Don't you think that maybe something like that would have already happened if it was so damn easy?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
oh, you.
That's how you guys get captured?
Yeah.
You're bad in war. Bad in war.
Yeah.
We'll find out. The war is. It's kind of like more Cold War than actual war.
Yeah, they're all just like
But-
puffing up their chests a little bit.
Yeah.
But the hoppers are ready to go today or
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow.
But they're all sad though. When Dorothy says that, they're like, "Ugh,
Procrastinators.
like we don't want to have the war." Like
Yeah.
they're all just like gloomy and
Well,
like sad about
this
it.
lady hopper, she's like, this war is bad. She was like,
Yeah.
someone is bound to get hurt.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Wait.
"What's the war
What's
about then?"
going
that's
on?
what
What's the war about?
Wasn't there a war happening? Have people not been hurt yet?
But the scarecrow's like, why do you think it's going to get so ugly? And she's like, well, the Horners' horns are really sharp, and they use them to stick us in battle. So we have the hoppers who hop. We have the Horners who have horns. What the hell's my name?
What do you do?
Eat hot chip and lie.
You're a liar.
Oh.
Yeah.
But Dorothy's like, how many horns do they have? We learned that each of them has one horn in the center of their forehead. Scarecrow says, oh, they're unicorns.
And they say no.
No,
They say no, they're not
horners.
fucking unicorns.
Because then we would
They're
have said
horners.
Yeah,
unicorn.
'cause
That's
did we
literally
say
that's what they
unicorn?
say. Yeah. And they're like, like, we don't want war, but like we just can't forgive that insult. And Scarecrow's like, well, what weapons do you have to defeat the Horners? And they don't have any weapons. Their plan is to push them away because their arms are longer. So they are just going to push them back.
And Scraps says, oh, well, then you're well armed.
Oh
Yeah, Scraps didn't have to say that.
my god.
But they do comment that, yeah, well, the arms aren't that great because they're going to stab our arms with their horns.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, like you're at war with these people, they're going to stab your arms.
Why
So
didn't you
then-
just like fucking suck it up? Suck
Just
it up,
like, oh my
bitch.
God,
Yeah.
take it on the chin and move on. Who cares what they said? Sticks and stones.
Put metal on your arm. They can't stab if there's metal on
Or
your
that.
arms.
and then whack them with it.
Yeah.
But honestly, we're just assuming that the Hoppers are the good guys in the war. We
Yeah.
actually don't know anything about the Horners.
That's true.
And the Scarecrow has the audacity to say, well, you're going to have a hard time winning that war unless we help you.
And the Hoppers love this. And
They
what the
say,
hell?
Hip, hip, woo, woo, yeah,
Yeah,
woo, love this guy, woo.
they have a whole little thing. And I don't know why the Scarecrow's assuming they're in the right, but he is. And also maybe it's a ploy because he's like, hey, like, how far to the Horner country? Like, where are they? Like, let's like go take me to the fence. So they go over to the fence. They walk through the town. It's really pretty. It's all marble. It's beautiful. And then they get to the fence between the nations.
and they are looking through. It's a picket fence. So there's spaces.
Picket fence
And they see...
made of marble and
a
so
marble
high
picket fence.
that it's like you couldn't climb it. It's
12 feet?
huge. Oh, I think higher than 12 feet. I think like 30 feet,
That high?
40.
Wait,
I'll go
bigger.
higher, man.
Well,
I'll just keep building.
you think you could throw something over that?
I think I could throw something. I have no fucking idea.
Mm,
But
sure.
I
I
can't even think about what 30 feet looks like.
Because I've never seen anything 30 feet in my entire life.
well, okay, we're not gonna do the math. I was gonna start saying the
but
ceilings in here are 7 feet, but
They
it's fine.
peek through at the Horner country, and instead of marble, everything's made of this dull gray rock, and the houses are just squares made of the same gray rock.
Yeah, it's
So maybe they are the bad guys.
Yeah, it's giving fucking.
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
I was
giving
gonna
that.
say something not very good.
Oh,
What?
I know the word.
Wait, say it, and then we can beep it.
I was gonna say.
Oh, I was gonna say.
We
Or
should
that.
keep all of that. But
I
just
think I don't
beep
think we
it.
should get anywhere close to that.
Just beep it all. Okay.
That could be funny though.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say beep.
Yeah, I thought beep too.
Okay, maybe.
That could be funny.
Anyway, there are Horners everywhere just busying themselves with this and that. There are way more Horners, it seems, than Hoppers. There are way more buildings than the Hoppers have. Like, the Horners are more immense.
Yeah, the Horners look pretty wild. They are super small with round bodies that look like a ball, like a bouncing ball.
Okay.
They have short arms and legs, round ball-shaped heads with long pointed ears. They have 6-inch horns in the front of their head. They're ivory white in color, and they're like pencil thin, based on the illustration. They have light brown skin. They're wearing snow white robes. They're all barefoot. And their hair is red at the bottom, yellow in the middle.
A yellow circle.
Yeah, and then at the top, it is like a brush-shaped top knot that's green. And that's what they look like.
Champion takes Dorothy and her friends over to the gate, which is locked on both sides. And there's a sign on the gate that reads, "War is declared."
And Scarecrow's like, hey, like maybe we can just talk to some of the Horners, convince them like that, like to apologize, and then it'll all be fine. Like,
Yeah. So he's like, "Let me through."
Yeah,
And
but-
Champion's like, "I can't unlock the gate. You have to talk to them from this side." That's
doesn't
not
wanna
gonna
do
work.
that.
That's not going to work for
yeah,
Scarecrow.
for some reason that won't be effective. It's
Yeah.
not explained. But
He says, "What if you picked me up and you threw me?"
all the way over the fence and talk to the Horners. So again, Scarecrow is getting thrown around, but he's asking for it this time, so there's consent, so that's nice.
That's nice.
But the hip hopper's like I can try. Like, you're pretty light, but like, I am the strongest out of all the hoppers.
Yeah,
That's
he's
why I'm
like-
the champion.
He's like, "You're not going to land on your feet." And Scarecrow's
Yeah.
like, "That's fine. Throw me."
Yeah, he's
That's
like,
fine.
no,
I'm
like I'm good.
literally a pack
I'm
of hay.
a pillow.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the problem, is that he is a pack of hay. He is so light.
He gets blown
that-
away.
Well, he tries to throw him, but
Ta-ta!
it's like if you're throwing like a piece of paper, like obviously it's just not going to do the thing you want. Like, it's not heavy
He
enough
didn't
to
have
throw.
any direction to him.
So
Okay.
he throws it up, and he goes all the way up 30, 40, maybe 50 feet, and then he gets to the top, and he almost makes it, and then he lands on the top of a picket. and he lands on his back, and it slices into him,
It
and it
slices into him.
impales him
And
on it.
If he had landed forward, he might be able to like use his arms to get himself off.
He did not
But he's on
land
his
forward.
back, so he's just like the book literally says his hands are in Horner country, his feet are in Hopper country.
Yeah,
What?
and he's kicking and flailing, and it's like sinking into him as he struggles. And Dorothy's like, he's gonna rip in two, and he really could.
Yeah. Champion is like, I mean, if he's as good at scaring Horners as he is at scaring crows, just leave him up there.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
Haha. I mean, frankly, good joke, but not the time.
But
No,
also,
yeah.
that's fucked up. That's my friend.
Yeah. So Dorothy's like, how do we get him down? He's like, I've never been in this situation
yeah,
before.
yeah. He's like,
Like,
he says,
actually,
don't know.
No answer.
Don't know.
Yeah, and Ojo's like, and again, here, this is probably where your note is, Blake, where it's like, oh yeah, Ojo's here because
This
Ojo
is
Yeah, Ojo's like, man, I must be Ojo the unlucky because everything's bad for me, and he's like about to cry.
my note.
Actually-
Yeah, like right on cue, Ojo's eyes are full of tears because that boy
Yeah.
loves to cry, which like no hate, but come on, like can we get our head in the game a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
bit?
And Dorothy's
But
like,
my
shut the
note-
fuck up.
My note is I literally forgot Ojo was even here, but way to make it about yourself.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's like-
seriously.
Well, pick me.
Yeah.
But
So Dorothy
has an
says,
idea.
shut the hell up. And then Scraps has an idea.
And Scraps is like, oh, throw me up there. She's like, I'm heavier. You might be able to aim me better, and then I can just pull the scarecrow down when I get up there. Good idea.
Good idea. Yeah. Like, and the
The
aim
best,
is probably
best idea
pretty
they
good.
have.
Yeah, it's honestly the only other option.
Yeah. So the champion is like, okay, cool, that's fine. So he grabs Scraps, he throws her up. She goes up 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet.
Put a little
She
too much
goes
heat on it.
Way past him. She like just goes right over the scarecrow, down the other side. She knocks over 2 of the Horners and a lady Horner, and then all the ones that were gathered around there run screaming because they're like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck is that?"
War!
Yeah, yeah. Seriously,
Wait,
they're
do
like,
they
"A missile."
even know that the war is happening?
So,
Well, the fence says war is declared.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
But
that may be the
they
only
don't
way
know
they
what
know.
it entails. They don't know what the war entails.
Yeah.
Because from what it seems, the gate is locked and they can't get through it. The wall is so high they can't get over it. I don't think anything's happened yet. I don't understand what the plan was going to be, but it seems like there's been no actual
Yeah.
war yet. It's just a
It's-
theoretical war.
L. Frank Baum predicted the Berlin Wall.
Yeah. Yep.
But once the Horners realize that Scraps is like harmless and she's just like just as confused as they are, they gather around her and they're checking her out with great interest. And one of the Horners has a jeweled star in his hair, and he speaks on behalf of the rest of them. He must be like the
Heard
king.
that before.
Yeah,
Mangaboos,
in the
anyone?
Mangaboos, the prince had a star on his head.
Yeah.
And then when they hatched that princess, she was like, "Give me the star."
Oh,
I was like,
that's
"What?
right.
Did that used to be a thing?"
I don't know, man, but I agree. It's strange.
So the Horner is like, "Who are you, unknown being?"
Yeah, she's like, I'm Scraps. I'm
Yeah,
Patchwork.
she's just standing up, like dusting herself off. Like,
Yeah. But this Horner is like, well, like you're obviously not a hopper because you have 2 legs, and like that suggests, or he says that maybe the creature caught on the fence is also not a hopper.
Oh, so they saw
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
like, maybe that's your brother or your like son or your father or something. Like, so they're just wildly speculating.
And Scraps finds him so confusing that she's like, "Man, you must have visited the wise donkey because I don't know what the hell you're saying to me right now."
Yeah, throwback to Wise Donkey.
But she's like, "So what are you? Like, you're the captain, you're the king?" And he's like, "I'm the chief of the Horners. My name is Jack." She's like, "Little Jack Horner? You're little Jack Horner?"
Which, Hannah, are you familiar with those words strung together to have any meaning?
No.
Little Jack Horner sat in a corner eating
His Christmas pie.
his Christmas pie.
He stuck in his thumb and out came a plum, and he said, "What a good boy am I." It's like this like
What?
rhyme. It's
It's a
very like
nursery rhyme.
Mother Goose, but it's from
Jack
like
and
the like
Jill.
1700s basically. But it's
Jack
like,
be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the candlestick.
don't confuse her.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
those are
Jack
too many.
Horner. Either way, it's he pulled out a plum. That's this little boy.
And this is the second.
so they just made a reference.
This is the second time that she knows about England, like European nursery rhymes.
Oh, you're right.
I'm like, why do you know that? You were born 2 days ago
that's actually interesting.
in Oz. But Anyway, she's like, look, dude, I flew over your fence so that I could talk to you about the hoppers. And the chief is like, what about the hoppers?
And she's like, well, there's a war on. Have you heard of it?
You
like,
insulted them, and you should probably apologize because they're planning on coming over here and kicking your ass.
Well, let's
Yeah.
hear their side of the
so
story.
exactly, because Jack says, like, those hoppers, like they don't scare us, like, and we didn't insult them. We made a joke, and they just didn't get the joke. And the joke,
he is thinking about the joke and starts like laughing to
yeah,
himself.
these joking horners, they are full of laughs. No one stops laughing this whole time.
Barrel of laughs.
And the joke is, the hoppers, like what they had said was that the hoppers have less understanding because they have one leg, which sounds like an insult, whatever that means. Like it means they're stupid. But what the actual joke is that because the hoppers have one leg and your leg is under you and you stand with it, if you have one leg, you have less understanding than someone with two legs.
You have less understanding.
Yeah,
But here's the thing.
crazy.
I got the joke the first time I heard it.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I breezed past it, but like I just like wasn't looking for a joke.
Standing was like 2 syllables of that word, so I was like, oh yeah, I get it. They have less understanding. I get it.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't get like legs under you. That's weird, but
So you wouldn't have started a war.
oh no. What is it good for?
Well, it's good for some of these things.
So Scraps is like, okay, well, their understanding of your use of the word understanding led to a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And he's like, exactly, which is why there's no need to apologize. It's all just a misunderstanding.
And Scraps is like, yeah, well, maybe we don't need to apologize right now, but we do have to explain right
Do
now.
you want a war
Like,
on your hands?
Yeah, you don't have
Yeah.
to be sorry, but you do have to explain why there shouldn't
Have you
be
noticed this
war.
wall?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that gate's usually unlocked.
Yeah, apparently.
Apparently. It seems like they never interact with each other, but
Yeah.
Jack Horner is like, well, we don't want a war if we can help it, but who's going to explain the joke? Nobody likes explaining a joke.
Yeah. He's like,
True.
it spoils the joke. And he's like, well, who made the joke? And it turns out the person who made the joke is named Dixie Horner.
What'd you call me?
Dixie Horner. And
That sounds like you like call like the bar and you're like, is Dixie Horner there? And they're like, I got a Dixie Horner. Is there a Dixie Horner here?
I'm not gonna say I don't see it, but
I've heard that before.
yeah. Okay.
Ophelia Heine. But Scraps is like, okay, well, we'll just wait for Dixie to come out from working in the mines.
Yeah.
As long as he isn't too long.
And then Jack is like, oh, he's not too long. He's shorter than me. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
And
then
they all
everybody
laugh. They
laughs.
all laugh. And Scraps is like, it's weird how easily amused they are. To which I say, you're one to talk.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
But
the hoity-toity and the
Honestly,
bop-bop-boy.
she needs to be a part of that country because everything she says is a little rhyme and joke.
Yeah, she belongs there.
Yeah.
well, she does say that like they are strange, but they're not hurting anybody. They're merry, so like good for them. And that's just how she thinks. And that's how we end chapter 22, the joking Horners. And Blake, what would you call that?
The fence fiasco.
Chapter 23. Peace is declared. Where's the mystery anymore?
I know. All of the chapters are like just what it is.
Just telling us what's happening.
So Jack Horner invites Scraps to come wait for Dixie at his house and to meet his daughters, who he's raising according to the book of rules written by one of the Horner's leading old bachelors.
Gross. I hate that. Some old man telling you how to like raise your girl children.
Some old freaking incel too. Like, why is he
Yeah.
a bachelor? He doesn't even have a woman.
Yeah, these guys are annoying.
Whoa.
But, like, I mean, I'm sorry. Like,
Someone just got heteronormative
He wants to-
and anti-asexual.
he wants to tell women how they are supposed to
Yeah.
behave and act, but he doesn't even get bitches. Interesting.
Sounds
It
like a
is
lot of men I know.
So he leads her down an unpaved street, ugly, rocky street to his house. And like as they're going, like all the houses look ugly. And when they get to the chief's house, it is described as grimy and dingy looking.
Yeah, it's gross.
This is
Everything's
a bachelor
dusty.
pad.
And she's going to his dirty old house to meet his daughters, who the Bachelor book is raising.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
But then inside, it's all different because everything in here is metal. It's this like kind of transparent, like silvery metal. It's like shining. It has these ornate etchings all over it. Everything is this like beautiful metal. It's glowing, a little bit of light, and all the furniture is made of like the same material. And it's beautiful. It's like beautiful beyond understanding.
Yeah, it like emits this soft glow that lights up the room.
Yeah.
And Scraps is like, what is that?
And you know what it is? Radium.
It's radium. The Horners spent all of their time mining for radium under the mountain.
Wait, have we
So-
heard radium before?
No,
It just exists.
so radium was discovered in 1898.
Oh, it's a thing.
Yeah, that's it's a chemical element, but it is super radioactive.
It's
This
like-
room would kill Dorothy if she entered.
it's like
it.
radon and borium broken down together or something like
God.
that.
It's its own element.
Well, it creates those two things create a new element. But yes.
Oh,
But yeah, they decorate everything with it. They use it as a medicine. Jack
Yeah.
Horner tells Scraps that no one can ever be sick who lives near radium.
this
That
would
i-
kill everyone.
This did not age
Yeah, I was
well.
like, thank God Dorothy
because
didn't.
This
Seriously.
This book came out in 1913. In 1917, women who worked in factories across America started dying with radiation poisoning from working with radium. The Radium Girls, if you want to do your research, 3 years after this book comes out, women across the or across the nation at
Is
least
this
started dying.
propaganda.
I think he just didn't know.
Yeah, he didn't know.
I think he got some cool gift that was painted with radium, and he was like, "Look at it glow! I'm gonna put it in my book."
Yeah.
And then it started killing people.
And he's like, oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't.
Marie
know.
Curry is shooken.
And maybe it kills germs. Maybe that's what like the angle is with like the medicine aspect of what Elvingbaum is
Do you
saying.
think people ever ingested it?
Yes.
Ugh.
I don't know.
God.
Scraps
Poor
is,
people.
But it's beautiful.
Scraps is like, "Do you have a lot of radium?" And the chief is like, "Oh, we have more than we can use."
Yeah. She's like, well, you could use it on the outside because it looks like shit out there.
Yeah.
Oh my
She's like, your
God.
decorating can go outside too.
He goes on this tirade where he's like, "What do we care about outside? We don't live outside. We live in our houses. You must have thought the Hoppers Village was so beautiful because they're all about appearances. They just care about what you see. They don't care about what they see on the inside." And it's like, I get that, like, there's a war going on. We met and joined the first side, and now we're going to the other side, and we're learning that, like, hey, we're beautiful on the inside. You may present beautiful, but we're beautiful on the inside. But, like, he's yucking Scraps' yum really hard, and she's doing the same to him.
But he also says that inside of the Hoppers' houses, they're empty and uncomfortable.
Well,
and
like the glass house that they stayed in at the Mangaboos, because it's not ugly in there. It's all just solid marble, just like the outside, but
just
it's not cozy.
comfortable.
Which neither the Radium House doesn't sound cozy either.
Yeah, I have
It sounds like
questions.
it's made of all metal.
I hate this place. I hate
yeah.
everything about it on
I
either
want-
side.
Out of
Yeah.
the mountain, please.
Yeah.
But Scraps is like, well, it just seems like it'd be better if everything was pretty inside and out. The chief is like, it seems? You're all seams, SEAMS.
Yeah.
She's sewn up.
And then
He sets.
I gotta get out of here.
He
they
starts
all
laughing.
laugh.
And by they
Quick.
all,
Yeah.
it's great because she thinks she's alone with this
Yeah.
man. He starts laughing, and then she hears.
All around her. She is surrounded.
She turns around. Please take it away, because I'm honestly like, I need to rub my eyes.
So Scraps turns around and she sees 19 daughters, ranging from the age of toddlers to like almost grown women, and they're all seated in their beautiful radium chairs with their white robes, their legs are crossed, and they're just sitting quietly. And Jack is like, oh, these are my 19 daughters. Here's Scraps. Miss Scraps Patchwork. She's traveling the world to like get more knowledge. And they all like stand up, curtsy, and sit back down and just like sit
unison.
still. Yeah. And she's like, why the fuck are they doing that? Like, why are they all in a row and sitting like so still that they're not even moving? Like, this is freaky.
Yeah.
You're not gonna like the answer.
Jack Horner tells her that that's the ladylike and proper way to behave. And Scraps is like, most of them are like small children. Don't they ever run around and play and have a good time?
Never.
He says that would be improper.
Yeah. The bachelor, the old man bachelor who wrote the book of rules, his rules say that if your kids are being impertinent and having too much fun, then they're going to carry those things through to adulthood. So these kids like are never going to play. They all do the right thing where they're going to be polite and ladylike and just normal little girls.
Yeah. Scraps is like, wait, okay, so it's impolite to run and play and be happy now? And he says, well, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. For instance, when the chief makes a really good joke, because, you know, he's full of jokes all the time, he allows his 19 daughters to laugh at them. But they should not be making their own jokes and laughing. That would just simply not do. It'd be impolite, be unladylike.
So Scraps hates it. And she says that the old bachelor should be skinned alive. And
She says
another
the old
thing,
bachelor should be skinned alive.
That's
Yeah.
And she
insane.
means it, too.
she does, and she's raring to go.
It's okay. Like, we're creating like this really scary, spooky, like cult atmosphere. Don't worry, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Because the door flies open, and you know who
I
enters?
just want everyone. I want all these people to die.
I know,
Yeah.
skinned alive.
Yeah,
Light
Light
a
a
dead.
fire.
I'm
Somebody
on
light a
Scraps,
fire. Where's
yeah.
the? They should have brought the woozy. He could just light them all on fire.
Seriously,
There's nothing wood. Oh, I guess they're all made.
The radium.
Flammable. I see.
Yeah, burn the radium. I don't know. Maybe that'd do something. But just then, Dixie Horner comes through the door, and he takes his turn winking at all 19 daughters individually.
Yeah, which is nice, honestly. Like, I think he's just being like, well, he first he says, "What's up, Chief?" and then he winks at each girl in line, and they.
I would hate to see that.
Yeah, the girls all like it, but because their dad is there, they just like look away and they're like, "I'm
very
coquette. I'm a
coquette,
demure."
yes.
Yeah.
The chief tells Dixie that he needs to explain his joke to the Hoppers in order to avoid an all-out war. And Dixie agrees, all right, let's go to the fence and let's set things right.
Yeah. So they're walking over there, and they can see that the scarecrow is still way up on the fence, but he's not struggling. Now he's just laying limp.
He's just limp.
like waiting. And Dorothy and Ojo are like looking through the
Exhausted.
pickets, like they're like, what the fuck's going on? And Dixie gets to the gate, and basically he just goes about explaining the joke and how it's about understandings and being stood up, etc. And he does like this whole like unboxing of the joke.
It's not about your understanding, it's about your stand-undering, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
The Hoppers think about it for a minute, and then they're like, no, I think we get it, but like, what's the joke? So Dorothy laughs. She pulls the Hoppers away, and she's like, okay, here's the thing. I just realized. The Horners aren't smart. They're not good at jokes. They think that's a joke. It's not a joke. But they're not being malicious. So just laugh and tell them, good one, and move on. Stop the
so
war.
we should give in to this.
Yeah.
Just
So
laugh at them.
The other Hoppers are like, what do you think, champion? And Hip Hopper, the champion's like, I guess we'll just laugh and tell them good one.
Yeah.
I hate the Horners.
Literally.
I hate them.
Yeah. And Hopper's like, if we think about it too much, it's just going to get worse. So, like, let's just, like, not have war and just go say, like, it's fine. And Dorothy's like, okay, cool. Just go tell them that, like, laugh at the joke, say that's pretty good for a Horner, and, like, that's it. And so they're like, okay, fine, like, whatever. Or, like, they're happy, honestly. They're like, okay, cool, that's easy. That's an easy resolution. So they all start fake laughing, and they're just cracking up and knee slapping and all
They're
sorts
kind
of
of putting
that.
it on a little too much.
They are, yeah. Yeah.
But Champion's like, that's a good joke for a Horner. We like it. But
Don't do it again.
ever do that again.
Honestly, though.
Yeah. It's like that started a war.
But Dixie agrees. He's like, okay, I won't make another joke like that. If I even think of one, I won't say it.
Yeah.
So Jack
no,
Horner
respect.
is like, war's over, peace is declared.
Yep.
In the chapter.
And they, yeah, pretty much. Because, they unlock the gate then, and everybody's rejoicing. Scraps comes back over and
Mr.
meets her
Gorbachev,
friends.
bring down that wall.
Okay, we're not making this about the Berlin Wall. We don't know enough about that.
I know nothing about that. So Scraps comes through the gate and joins her friends on the other side. But then Dorothy's like, wait, but what about the Scarecrow? So Ojo's like, maybe the Horners know something, because obviously the Hoppers don't know how to help us.
Yeah, because otherwise
even
they would
though
have.
They are literal pogo sticks.
I
But
know.
That's okay.
I was thinking it earlier. I was like,
Pogo
okay,
sticks with long arms.
they can't jump off, but they can't jump that high. Otherwise, they would have already killed all the Hoppers or the Horners.
Fair. But they go over to the Horner side, and they ask if they have a way of getting the Scarecrow down. And Dixie's
Which side was locked?
Both.
You couldn't
There was like a
open it at
padlock
all.
on both sides,
Okay,
basically.
okay.
Yeah. So if one side unlocked it, they still couldn't get through. Like
Yeah.
both sides had to unlock it,
Oh,
and they
I
did.
see,
So
okay.
yeah, they do that,
But they're-
and they go over, and Dixie is like, "Well, I have a ladder in the mine. Like, I'll just go grab my ladder, and like then we can go get the Scarecrow because I have a ladder." And I'm like, "Yeah, why doesn't everyone have a ladder? How did they build any of this without a ladder?"
Yeah.
So they do. He does. He goes. He fetches the ladder. The Horners are like welcoming everybody. Like while he's gone, they're like, "Oh my God, thank you! Like you saved us from war, etc." So like they're being nice. But then once the ladder comes back, Ojo walks up to the top, and then Dorothy goes up to the middle, and then Scraps is at the bottom, or Ojo's at the top, yeah. And Ojo grabs the Scarecrow, passes him down to Dorothy, who passes him down to Scraps, and they just do a little like conveyor belt to the bottom.
Yeah.
And he's pretty fucked up.
He is. He's like, do I have a hole? And Dorothy
like, what-
looks, and she's like, you got a pretty big hole,
Yeah,
dude.
that's a huge hole.
The biggest hole I've ever seen.
You can fall into it. So Dorothy's like, yeah, you got a pretty big hole, but she's got a needle and thread, and she'll fix him up. And the Scarecrow is like, oh, do so. And the Horners start laughing their asses off. And the Scarecrow doesn't really get the joke. I think it's funny.
What?
She says
Oh,
she's going
do
to sew him
so.
up, and he says, do so.
Those I'm sorry. Those types of jokes you just can't say them to me. They're
You
just
know
gonna.
what?
They're
You're not gonna
every
get
single
it.
time they're gonna go over my head.
All my notes.
It was
here-
1913.
All my notes here are I don't understand these jokes from the turn of the century, but the Hopper or the Horners are cracking up for the rest of the book. Always assume that people are laughing at
Yeah,
everything people
the
are saying.
rest of the book, they cannot stop laughing, but all of it is jokes. But so Dorothy gets to sewing on the Scarecrow's back, and Scraps is like inspecting him, checking him out, and she also finds a rip in his leg. And Dixie is like, oh, well, let's give him a needle and thread and let him mend his ways. Get it? Because his legs are the way he walks or the way he gets around. It's his
Insanity.
ways.
I like
that
do
one's
so
not
better.
as good.
Tip would hate that.
That one was bad, but I haven't minded the other ones. Tip would have been
Yeah.
pissed.
But the chief
Do so was funny.
the chief loves this joke, and he's like clapping Dixie on the back, and he's going off, and Dixie's like, "Oh, it's either the radium or my sparkling intellect."
It's the radium.
Just like, yeah, it's the radium.
Excuse me.
But at this point, though, Ojo is like, "Hey, Jack, like, is there a dark well anywhere in the land?" And the chief says, "No, like, I've never heard of that in my life."
Dixie's like, well, actually, there's a super dark well down in the radium mine.
Yeah, it's very dark.
Ojo's like, is there water in it? And Dixie's like, I've never looked, but I'll take you there. We can go check it out.
Yeah.
So once the Scarecrow's all mended, they followed Dixie down to the mine.
And that's the end of chapter 23. Peace is declared. And Blake, what would you declare that?
A solution in a stitch.
Chapter 24. Ojo finds the dark well.
So they followed Dixie to the end of the cave, kind of like out of bounds of the city.
Yeah. They like go through the city, like to like the edge of the cavern, and then there's like a bunch of holes that like go down into the mines. So Dixie leads them into the shafts, and he assures them, hey, you can't get lost in here. Like, it just goes down to the cave and then back. So like, don't worry about it. Like, you're fine. But he also makes a joke about the mine being his mine, and he's like, mine's
It's
mine.
Mine.
Yeah. It's so just very on brand for all of these men.
As they're going down, the floor of the tunnel is like it's like worn down to a smooth glass for whatever reason.
Just all the
And
people walking on
They're
it.
having a hard time walking on it. And finally, the Scraps, who's kind of trailing behind everyone, loses her footing and just and slides into everyone. Very cartoony.
Yes. Okay. So earlier you referenced Scooby-Doo, and this was my Scooby-Doo moment in this episode where she knocks everyone down like in a domino effect, and they just go down the shaft, and they are sliding. They're all mixing up with each other. It's like they're flailing around.
Oh no.
Thankfully, during this, Scraps and the Scarecrow end up in the front. So they end up getting to the bottom and being cushions, and everybody else lands on them. No one gets hurt.
No one dies.
And amazingly, no one is impaled by the many pins and needles in Scarecrow's head.
Oh my God! Right.
Like, as always, he is a pin cushion, not a cushion. But anyway.
But the room is kind of lit because all around them there's like little chunks of radium around.
Yeah. But it's super dark though. Like they can't really see anything.
But they all like get back up on their feet, and Dixie's like, "All right, the well's this way." But like,
They all
it's
join hands.
Yeah, he's like, "It's a big place, so let's all hold on to each other." He's just longing for affection. He's in the mines by himself all day.
I know. Yeah. He knows there's a light switch, but he's like, I'm not turning that thing on. Like we're holding hands. And so they walk like for a little bit, like not a long time. They just walk over to like the corner where it's completely pitch black. They can't see anything. And all of a sudden, Dixie is like, okay, be careful because right at your feet is the dark well. Like we're standing right above it. So they're there, but they just can't see anything because it's pitch black.
Mm-hmm.
So Ojo like kind of puts his hand down, and he can feel that there's water in it. And he's like, "Dorothy, where's the flask?"
Yeah. Flask nurse.
So
And she has it.
She
She's
has
ready.
it, and she gives him the flask, and he goes down, he dips it into the well, and he screws the top down, and he's like, "Okay, we're done. We can go back."
They leave the mine.
Their second item.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they leave the mine. They make their way out. They have Scraps walking in the back this time so that she won't bowl everybody over. And they get out, and Ojo is like, oh my God, I have the golden vase or the golden flask full of the water, and we're done. Like, they do
The
still
dark
need,
water
they
that
do need
never
one more
saw the
thing.
light of day.
Yeah.
Well, they need
They need the oil.
they need an
Oh,
oil from
and
a man, and they need a yellow
Butterfly
butterfly's wing.
I
Oh,
forgot about
that's
the
right.
So
oil.
I'm like, folks, spoiler alert, we're finishing next week.
Yeah, next time is our last episode for this book.
I'm
so
like, how are they gonna get those
2 for
things?
1 special, I guess.
Yeah, it took them forever to get this.
Yeah. This is definitely weirdly the hardest one. But that is the end of chapter 24. Ojo finds the dark well. And Blake, what would you very well call that?
We did very well.
Thank you for listening to Oz Hour. Please join us next time as we continue with chapter 25. They bribe the lazy quadling. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Oz Hour Podcasts for the latest on everything Oz. Oz Hour, created and hosted by Blake Stone and Wyatt Swingham. Co-hosted by Hannah Aguirre. Audio production by Charlie Johnson. Theme music written and performed by Rudy Klobus. Cover art by Valentin Lucas.